This week, Milwaukee and Makita have new tools.
We get to see a groundbreaking new router in action and measure the torque in LED shop lights.
This is your Power Tool Week in Review. Today's episode is brought to you by Ohio Power Tool, Pro Tools, Pro Service at the best prices at ohiopowertool.com. And Flex, it's what's next. Welcome back, Power Tool fans. I'm Rob.
And I'm Sarah, and we have several tool stories for you this week, starting over at Workshop Addict with a new half-inch plunge router with a clever trick. The Metabo HPT 36-volt multi-volt half-inch plunge router, or M3612DA, if you're into that, is the first full-size cordless plunge router on the popular multi-volt system, which means it can be powered by either a 36-volt battery or use an adapter to use a cord and plug the green machine into the wall. The router is full of other features, including a soft start motor, electronic brake, and micro adjustment system that makes it easy to get this dialed into the work. Brian says he doesn't do a lot of fine woodworking, and he normally uses a small rigid trim router, but after using the Metabo HPT for a while, he said that he was more comfortable with it and felt more in control. For the full review, head over to Workshop Addict.
Jim over at Philly Fix continued his search for the world's best hammer drill this week, putting the new Flex Turbo Hammer Drill in the mix with its Cobalt XTR cousin and the 36-volt contender from Metabo HPT. Jim is trying something new by establishing a standard test for each class of tool, so over time he can build up a leaderboard, effectively making a top drill list spanning many different tool test videos, something we think is a pretty good idea. Jim puts each drill through a 5 3/4 inch hole test, 2-inch hole saw, 2 9/16 inch auger bit, a 1.5 inch auger bit through 4x4 pressure treated lumber, 1/4 inch lags, 8-inch timber locks, and finally 6 and 10-inch lags into a stump. I guess that's good enough, Jim. Don't forget you have a family, bud. So far, his growing leaderboard includes Flex, Makita, Milwaukee, DeWalt, Metabo HPT, and Cobalt, with several others already awaiting their turn. To keep up, head over to Philly Fixed.
It's easy to get caught up in using power tools to change the world, but once in a while it's a good idea to pause and take inventory of proper PPE and the reasons you use them. Scott Brown himself decided to do this earlier this week and fortunately decided to bring us along with him. Scott specifically takes a look at proper safety glasses, hearing protection, masks and respirators, gloves, knee pads, and even the proper trousers. It's easy to lose sight of just how important these safety precautions are, so Scott reminds us that you're going to need to take care of yourself if you want to see, hear, and play with your kids and grandkids for years to come, which we think is some great advice. You can share your own favorite PPE over at Scott Brown Carpentry.
Just a short 7 months ago, Torque Test channel was created on YouTube with the goal of testing tools on a level playing field and immediately captured our hearts with their detailed testing procedures and addictive graphics. Since then, we've learned a lot about impact wrenches, air hammers, batteries, and the clever way marketing makes anything look good.
Even when it's not.
Exactly. But this week, the TTC crew aimed their overcritical eyes on the world of job site lights, and more specifically, the lumens they claim to produce. And how do you test such a thing? They built their own dang integrating sphere, and if that's not good enough for you, they even sent 3 light examples into a lab for professional testing to create a baseline for their own testing equipment. I'm gonna be honest, I've never been more excited to watch a flashlight video. They're just getting started here, but now that they've built and tested their sphere, they plan to bring in many more flashlights and job lights to see if the marketing adds up. You can see how they built it and how it works over at Torque Test channel.
Over at Tools and Stuff, they decided to see who has the best battery-powered framing nailer, DeWalt, Hikoki, Milwaukee, or Makita. And Makita almost instantly loses by not making one. And the TNS guys don't seem too happy about that, claiming Makita promised them a zero-gas cordless framing nailer for years, but still hasn't delivered. Hey, be happy, guys. At least you have Makita tools in New Zealand. Here in the States, we just get to stare across the border and watch Canadians use them. Fortunately, they do have the DeWalt 20-volt Max, Metabo HPT 18-volt, and Milwaukee M18 fuel framing nailers, which are all very capable tools. But after all of the rigorous testing, there can be only one, and they go out of their way to remind us that it wasn't Makita. For the full review, head over to Tools and Stuff.
We had a few new tool announcements this week, including a long-awaited first aid pack-out kit, which now comes in 2 sizes, and a few new additions to the Makita XGT platform, including an 80-volt XGT demolition hammer, a pair of 6-inch angle grinders, an XGT dual-bevel sliding compound miter saw, some OPE additions, a fan, a radio, and a bigger 5 amp hour battery. We have all the details right here on Belts and Boxes.
So do you guys guys remember 10 years ago when Metabo launched their YouTube channel, posted 6 videos, and then went out for a pack of cigarettes? Well, they're back. And in the last 5 days, they've posted 27 videos, making the rest of us look bad. Metabo, do you really think that you can run out on us for 10 years, come back unannounced, post a ton of videos, and pretend like nothing happened?
These are actually pretty good videos. Have you seen the TX20? I don't need that cordless mixer, but I need it.
I guess you can. And for now, I'm willing to tell myself you won't leave again. If you're a Metabo fan and are ready to give their marketing department one more chance, you can be one of the first 1,000 subs on their 10-year-old channel, which is saying something. I'll put a link below.
And that brings us to Tool Talk, where last week we asked you to talk about robots invading the job site, and you actually had quite a bit to say. Ragged's Edge said, robots won't replace our jobs, the AI running them will kill us long before that's a concern. Now, the Construction Junkie had a more nuanced view, saying, I trust and love my robot overlords, and they promise that they would love me back. Having said that, there will need to be a revolution in architecture and engineering, as well as pre-planning process in general, before robots have a widespread impact on tradespeople. We'll be working alongside robots for a long time before they start taking our jobs. There were a ton of fantastic and insightful comments last week that are just too long to read here, so I highly suggest you go and read them for yourself. For this week's Tool Talk, we're turning to HART. Full disclosure, HART is a major sponsor of our Make or Break show, which is on its own channel now. On that show, Sarah and I use HART tools to build DIY projects, which if you haven't watched, you should. Anyways, the reason we chose to work with HART on that project was because of a unique promise they made when they first became available. Their plan was to build a robust battery platform that would not only power your DIY tools, but also your automotive tools, a full line of outdoor power equipment, and a bunch of lifestyle items like radios, air pumps, and more. But that was just the start. Their unique approach was based on the only store where you could buy them, which is Walmart. The way they saw it, a battery platform in Walmart would be able to slowly work its way into other departments. And last month, they did it. They started with a line of battery-powered vacuums, which we've been using in our home for the last few months, and we love them. But there's more. They also launched some interesting new tools, including this cordless soldering iron, a portable shower, a battery-powered air compressor, super portable 2-gallon wet dry vacs, and more. This tool line is quickly expanding into areas we've never seen before, and they're doing it right under our noses. The idea of a battery-powered bike, blender for the beach, outdoor lighting, and more seemed like a nice thought last year, but now it's all sounding rather plausible. HART's trying to build a battery platform for the home, and it's starting to look like it could work. So for this week's Tool Talk, let me know in the comments, is this really happening? Do you think we'll start seeing HART batteries laying around your aunt's house? And could this be the gateway to more DIY and even more people finding the trades? Let me know what you think.
Last week we took a look at a crazy trackless track saw, which you can watch right here.
We want to thank Flex and Ohio Power Tool for sponsoring this episode. Guys, we couldn't do it without you.
If you liked the show, give it a thumbs up. And if you loved it, we hope that you subscribe.
Have a restful weekend, and we'll see you next week.